Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Doing a video today just showing a little bit better, I guess, clarifying our process. Sort of how we work, what you can expect as you begin working with us, and really what you're getting when you're partnering with Planned Right to get your project designed. So first off, when clients come to me, generally they're looking to get permits. That's the number one thing they are looking to add on to their home, build a new home, whatever it is, and they need a plan set to turn into their jurisdiction, their town, for permits so they can get building. First off, anybody can do this. So as a homeowner, you can make your own plan set, turn it in for permitting. You don't need any license, a stamp, any of that, unless the town requires engineering. So you can do it yourself. However, even though you can do it yourself, it's probably easier said than done. So, of course, not a very simple thing. Most people wouldn't know where to start, and generally when you turn in your own plans, even if you know a thing or two, heck, even if you're a builder, most of the time they're not going to permit it. There's going to be a lot of stuff you're missing, things that you just may not be very familiar with, or things you didn't know that you need to show. So anyways, that's really why you end up hiring a draftsman. Now, I guess showing draftsman versus architect, I get asked about that all the time. I am a draftsman. I am not an architect. I'm not a licensed architect. Really, the main thing to kind of keep in mind is an architect can do commercial work, a draftsman can't. That's one of the biggest differentiating factors there. Architects tend to be more focused on the design, and they get very, very detailed when it comes to every aspect of your build. Most people have no need or just don't really want an architect. More than anything, you're paying for what you get, especially with an architect. They're going to be, like I said, doing they're very nitpicky with the project. So sure, you may design a beautiful home, but it's going to cost a lot of money. Now, a draftsman, I'm sort of, in a way, the budget architect. So I offer essentially everything an architect offers, for the most part, on the residential side. And our company, Planned Right, unlike some other drafting companies, we tend to be very focused on the design. A lot of the time when you hire a draftsman, you're hiring someone that will just draft a plan set for permitting, get it done, turned in, we'll worry about the design later, right? Like that is normal. A lot of people look for that. If you do want to have a bit more say in the design, especially the design process coming up with the layout of the home, hiring someone like us at Planned Right is usually one of your better options. Very good bang for your buck. Very good bang for your buck. What we charge is what most draftsmen charge, but we offer much closer to what an architect offers for a lot less money. So anyways, that's a selling point. I'm not one to try to sell you on a low price. That is not our focus. Our focus is quality, making sure that you are getting a good plan and exactly what you're looking to design. It's great that we happen to be much cheaper than an architect, but it's not our focus. We just want to make sure that you get the best plan possible. Anyways, so just kind of giving you that real fast, hiring us in why a draftsman versus an architect. Most of the time if someone's asking for an architect, we'll do exactly what they're looking for. So anyways, when our clients initially reach out to us, generally they say, hey, look, let's focus on a new build for now, right? Hey, I've got a lot in Queen Creek we want to build on. We've about a quarter acre over there. We've got some ideas on what we want. Can we send you some stuff? So generally they'll send me maybe a few links for plan sets online. I did a video in the past about those and why you don't want to purchase those cheap $1,000 plan sets online. Many reasons. It's usually you just lost $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it is. But they'll bring me a couple of ideas and say, we want to kind of mix these together and make our own home. So that's perfect. I will find out the location of the property. I'll find those designs. And between those, I'll do a little bit of research on the back end, make sure it's something we can help you with. And then we'll send you an estimate. Once you're happy, then you'll go ahead and send that down payment. Once we have a down payment and a signed agreement, you're in our queue. When your turn rolls around in our queue a few weeks later, we'll get working. So now as we start working on the project, one of the things I ask for, especially if we're doing like a remodel or an addition to the property or an additional building on the property, I'll ask for pictures of the property, measurements, if I'm not going. I don't do site visits for every project. I do more often than not, but if it's a pretty basic addition or it's just an addition onto the property, it's usually not much of a reason for me to go. I do charge for the site visits, so you can usually save yourself some time and money and grab the pictures and measurements I need. So just as an example of that, here are some quick pictures a client sent. We're doing casita for a client here, and I just asked for some pictures of his home. It's a little bit of a newer home, so not many pictures online. I'll usually go to Google Images or Zillow or whatnot and just try to find some pictures to get a feel for the place. But he just sent me some pictures all around his new home. We're putting a casita right kind of looking at my camera, right up in here. So on the right side, we're putting a casita in there, a small one. He had a pool put in, and all the pool lines run 10 plus foot from his house, which he's a little frustrated by. So that area right in here, it's true, I could point with my mouse, not just my finger. So it's a little further than you'd like, so we just have to be careful not to get too close with the casita's footings. Anyway, so he sent me these pictures, and then the rest of these as well, so that I can get a feel for the design of the home, so we can try to copy it as closely as possible. HOAs always are going to want it to look similar. Honestly, most of the time a jurisdiction will as well. And you will too. You don't want it to be too different from your home. Make it look natural. Anyways, so I'll get those pictures. I'll also get pictures, and then side note real quick, I've got a kiddo crying in the background, won't go to sleep. Don't mind him. Anyways, I'll ask for pictures of the breaker, or your breaker box, your electrical panel. That way I can build out an electrical schedule. That's part of the plan set. I'll show you in a sec. And then some measurements. Usually it'll be some rough measurements near the area that we're remodeling. So say you're adding on to, you have your kitchen and living room on the back of the house. Say you're bumping out a portion, like a 20 by 20 space for a little master suite back there. Then I'll ask for, okay, well, what can you take pictures of windows and doors in that area and take measurements, what size of the windows and doors and how far along are they across the wall, so I can get those dimensions. Let me know what's on the other side, on the inside of the home, if there's counters here, if there's a bathroom in the spot, just mark where those are at. That's usually sufficient to get building the rest out. If I need more specifics or it becomes too much of a headache for you, then I do site visits as well, and I'll pull all the measurements I need. It usually takes a few hours, and I'll model the existing home there on site so that I can get all the answers I need before I leave. Anyways, so as I begin on the project, one of the first things I try to do, especially for an addition, is I'll draw out the site plan, or at least a sketch of the site plan. It's not complete here, but it gives me an idea of what I'm working with. So this is kind of showing, based on your actual plot, the dimensions of your property, your setbacks, any easements, the PUE you can see right here, public utilities easement. There's a vehicular non-access easement. This is just making it so that you have a side yard and not two front yards. Obviously don't worry about that right now as I'm talking, but this is all here so that as I get building, this is actually, this is a site for the pictures I just show for the casita. Now I know exactly where we can place a casita. So I've got measurements here. I know we've got 30.5 feet or so on the side of the house. If the pool lines are coming out those 10 feet or so we talked about, I've got that extra 20-ish feet to build the casita in. So that's one of the first things I'll do, is build this out so that I can, what I've run into in the past is we've gotten real excited with the design of the building. I wasn't looking at the site plan, and we realized, oh shoot, we're out of the setbacks. We have to change up the design. Cost me a lot of time because I didn't look into that first. Anyway, so that's the first thing. Now, as I get working with you, you'll get pretty consistent updates from me, and that would include something like this, potentially. I wouldn't send just this because you already know what's on your lot, but I would give a rough outline of the location of the casita and say, hey, this is where we're looking to put it. Here are the measurements. Does that look good to you? If you give me the thumbs up, perfect. We'll start building it out. So then, and these are a couple different plans that are active plans. One of them is complete. The rest are active. I'll show you. We're very busy right now. We do have a pretty big backlog of projects. So if you're looking to get projects done, always happy to help, of course. But everyone in the industry is busy. So, all right. So we have this one. All we have is the first preliminary design. We didn't go too deep into what they were wanting. They gave me a sketch of what they're envisioning. This is a barn dominium, so steel building that they purchased, and we're building half of it out as a home, and the rest of it's a big garage for him. He's a truck driver, big truck guy, so he needs a place to pull his truck through and perform maintenance, whatever else needs to happen. Anyway, so I sent this first draft to them. They're going over it, and when I send that out, so this is another project that I've been actively working on, but you'll get a first draft, and it's this PDF. You'll get a watermark PDF from me that'll have rough dimensions of the full floor plan, maybe a rough layout of the roof, some elevation shots. And this is really just the first inception phase. This is let's get the design figured out before we dive into the drafting part. So I have my design and drafting phase. So once they'll get back to me and let me know there's a couple of tweaks we want to make, we'll go back and forth a little bit to fine tune these. You'll get multiple drafts from me. Usually you're getting at least an update a day as I'm working actively on your project. Most of my clients take a week or two to get back to me for a lot of the design phases. So of course it can take a little longer, but we're usually pretty quick. I usually get drafts to you same day after I get responses. So once they are happy with that design, they think it looks good, then I'll start filling out a little bit more. Here's another project we're a little bit further in. This one, we're fine-tuning the location of this casita on their property. You can see that. We've been kind of playing with where we're going to put it. Looks like we may get it about as far over here as we can. They've got a nice golf course just north of here, so it'd be nice to be able to have a view of that. So I've spent some time working with the town, Scottsdale in this case, making sure we can build in this area. So the draft they got from me looks essentially like this. This is within my program, but I export this as a PDF, exactly what you're seeing. So they'll get a little overview, snapshot of what it looks like. They'll also get a link to view the model in 3D, like I've shown a lot on this page. A little bit more detailed dimensions now and locations now that they're happy with the layout. I haven't started on the foundation yet. The electrical, I had to back up a little bit, but generally I'll start filling in some of the electrical here so you can get a feel for where things are going. Let me know if it looks good or not. So this is kind of the next phase after here of the design. Still very basic. It's just, I take it piece by piece. I don't want to build the whole thing out, send it to you and see if it's good, because if you want to backtrack it, it wastes a lot of our time and yours. Anyway, so that's kind of the next phase, and then you get to, we're happy with the design, we like the layout, awesome, go get to drafting. So this is a project I've been working on for some time now. Got it early last year, and a very good friend, great client. I've done a few projects with them. He's a contractor, one of the contractors I recommend to my clients. He's built some incredibly beautiful homes, and I've shown this home a few times. And this has gone through a lot of revisions. I know on this project alone, we have a couple hundred hours on it. I've definitely worked more on this project than anything else. I'm glad, or I guess they are probably happy they're friends. I've loved working on this, but goodness, the amount of time into it's pretty, it's something else. And I do track all the time I work on my projects as well. So if you end up wanting to do revisions after you've already given a thumbs up on a design, I do generally charge for that. If I'm backtracking, of course, I'll charge extra for that. Now, that being said, don't feel that I'm going to be nickel and diming for revisions. I've only charged additional for revisions a few times. I'm very reasonable when it comes to that. I also want the home dialed in, and I expect to go back a couple of times. It's more if we get working, you give me the thumbs up, I'm working on the drafting side, and then you make changes, that does end up, we lose a couple of hours at work or so on the project. So anyways, that's all in my contract. All right, so now we have a design. Thumbs up. I've been working pretty diligent on this project over the past week or so. I want to get this one done by the end of the month. That would be awesome. It's huge, and this will be just an awesome home, so I want to see it built. Anyways, we have a much more detailed plot plan. We don't have dimensions on here right now. As I'm making adjustments, the dimensions tend to sometimes get deleted, so I need to go back and add stuff back in, but we have essentially the layout that they're looking for. Queen Creek requires a basic retention plan, so at least showing where water is going to be draining, and that's all shown here. We have a much more detailed floor plan now. So now we've got all sorts of dimensions all over the place. So really specifying where things are going, and I still have a lot more dimensions to add to this. You can see I don't have anything here in the middle. So I've got a lot of dimensions to add still, but now we're laying out a few more things. We're labeling some stuff in the bathrooms, where the cabinets are going to be, what is in the countertops, the ceiling heights or soffit. We've got a vaulted ceiling in here, sort of a tray or coffered ceiling, flat in the middle. Door and window sizes, locations. So much more detailed here. And then we get to the braced wall plans. So it's more, this is more, again, the drafting side. And again, this is after you give the thumbs up on the design. I'm working on the drafting now. So I'll usually go dark, or one of us will usually go dark for a good few weeks, depending on the scale of the project, maybe a few days, as we work on the rest of this drafting. Most of the clients, most of you really don't care or know or want to know what's going on the drafting side, because you're focused on the design. You just want permits. So we'll go dark, work on all this. You hear a lot from us in the design phase, of course. Foundation, again, working on all these extra details. We still have a couple of days worth of work to do on this one, but we're getting closer. On the electrical, so working on getting all of the electrical laid out. This is something that I do involve the client in. It's something that I do ask for them to check. Now, something to be aware of as well here, what I really want them to check is making sure that we're not missing anything important. If you want lights moved a little bit, I can do it, but it doesn't matter really on the plans. At the end of the day, your builder is going to put them where you want them, and an inspector is not going to slap your hands because you decided to put an extra few lights here in the middle of the great room. They will slap your hand if you decided to add an extra 240 outlet, or you're adding a, well, I guess that's really the best example. Say you add a Tesla or something down the road, you're putting in a much larger charger in the build, and that wasn't shown on the plans. Depending on the inspector, they may get a little upset. Probably not. And the reason being is because of the calculations that are done beforehand to make sure that your house can handle that extra, or all the power going to it. Anyways, it's usually a little bit laid back. We just want to make sure that everything's per code on the plans and when installed in the field. If you move stuff around, it's fine. So if you're, the only stuff with the electrical I want to make sure of from the client is that we're not missing any large appliances or whatnot that you want placed. So we work on a mechanical plan as well, so showing the layout, rough layout of all the registers, your vents, AC vents in the ceiling. This is more rough. No contractor is going to follow this unless it's been engineered. So this is just giving what you need so that you can get some permits, and then you can take that to your HVAC tech and they'll get it all installed properly, make sure that you've got the right load throughout the house. Then filling out the roofing. So all the HVAC stuff you see in here isn't going to actually be here. I'm in the middle of working on this, but so all the framing, showing all the roof trusses, your rafters, the pitches, your ridge lines, all the details, notes, your dormers. This gets complicated. Now, when I said earlier you can do this stuff yourself, but it gets complicated. This is an example of that. This is not done. This is maybe halfway done. I still will be working with an engineer on this project and adding a lot more to it. There's a lot that goes into the details and the framing. And they can be real sticklers when trying to get permits when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it gets real busy. Your attic ventilation, all those calcs. And then we've got our elevations. So now this is something that the client will look at in the design phase, make sure that the elevations look right. Now, I'm very visual, as I've said before. A lot of my clients are as well. This is only part of the equation. Of course, I give a 3D model for them to fly through, and so they can give a real thumbs up as to the layout of everything. So then we get to all the details. This, again, is one of those things that is worth gold, is each of these. This isn't something I just share around, the details. There's a lot of work that goes behind all these. This is the thing that an average Joe doesn't know, and even a lot of builders may not be very familiar with doing. I'm still learning them, and I've been doing this for a while, and I've seen hundreds upon hundreds of details and applied hundreds upon hundreds of details, and even then I'm still learning new ones constantly. So never ending. That's the foundation, and then more framing details, of course. And then you get all of your extra notes, all the busy stuff. Anyways, so this is all the drafting side that most clients don't really care about. So just to pull up the model, like I've shown many times before, you'll get that model that you can view just like this on your computer. I did discover potentially a new way to show models to clients. That I will be exploring once I get some time on my plate. Again, we've been very busy, so it's been hard finding time even to do a little recording like this for a half hour. So anyways, there may be a much better option for showing models to clients, much higher resolution, potentially easier to look at. Could be kind of neat. We'll see. I'm not going to go into how to view this. I've got plenty of videos showing that, but this is the model that the client gets so they can make sure that this is what they are envisioning. Again, it's a lot harder to visualize it here. For most people, not everybody. So then once we finally finish all of this, you get a full plan set. So this is a full plan set we finished a couple of weeks ago, pretty recently. Engineered, completed. It is ready to be turned in for permits, which they're going for. Another beautiful home. Finished up a home for this gentleman and actually his father as well, and they're going to be across the street from each other. So that'll be pretty fun to kind of see those going up next to each other, homes that I was able to help design and get drafted up. So floor plan, you start to see how busy this gets. I am revamping how I do my layouts. This is just getting too cluttered, especially on these more complicated, like beautiful homes. It's very busy. So we are changing how we do our layouts. I want to add more information than I have been. I like the detail, and it's getting hard to fit more information. Good example, that is very busy. This is, I'll probably never have a plan like this again with how smushed everything is. That's a lot going on. More framing, all engineered. Much more detail on these elevations, breaking down all the dimensions and sizes and materials being used for the exterior. I don't get incredibly detailed on these, more than anything because I want to make sure that you as a client have some flexibility with your contractor as you get building, or your maybe interior designer who may have some input on the exterior as well. If I get too detailed on here and you happen to have somebody real picky as an inspector, they could get upset they use different materials, and the likelihood of that is low, but we don't want to run that risk. So anyways, and the cross sections, all the other details. So this is essentially what you're getting when you work with Planned Right, is we spend a lot of time, about half the time, or honestly probably more than that, probably 60+% of the time is the design phase. It's us making sure that what we're designing is exactly what you're envisioning, what you're picturing. We make it come to life with our 3D models, which is incredible. We do have a lot of clients that reach out to us because they see those models and they want those. I'm not familiar with the other draftsmen that offer what we offer when it comes to the interaction, involvement, and models with our clients, at least here in the Valley, which is pretty exciting. So if you're looking for a much more interactive way to build your home, if you have ideas for a custom home but have a real hard time envisioning it, or you really want to make sure that the money you're putting towards a custom home, especially with how expensive it is right now, is put well, this is the way to do it. Come to Planned Right. We'll make sure that what you're building is going to be what you're picturing. We want this to be a good, pleasant, positive experience for you. It's exciting. It's very rare that I have frustrated clients because this is not me saying because we make excellent plans. I think we do, but it's realistically because they are excited. They're building a home. They're building an addition. That's a fun time. Sure, it's expensive and it can be stressful, but that's an exciting thing. So we want to make sure that that still stays a positive, fun experience for you as a client, you as a homeowner, as a person, as a neighbor of ours. We want it to be fun and interactive, and here at Planned Right, we offer more than most when it comes to that involvement. We want to make sure that this home is what you're envisioning. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. If you have ideas of a project you'd like to start, let us know. We'd be happy to chat with you, see if we're a good fit, and try to get you in the queue. Sooner the better for sure. It's a busy time. So this is Ethan with Planned Right. If you watch this, appreciate that, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one.